item is item number 29, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, docket number 15-4758, block 1382, lot 48, 34 East 68th Street in the Upper East Side Historic District. A neo-Grec style row house designed by R.W. Buckley and built in 1879. The application is to reconstruct the facade.
Commissioners, Carly Vaughn, Conservation Staff. 34 East 68th Street is located on the south side of the street between Madison and Park Avenues. This building was last seen in front of the commission in 2012. This is the existing condition of the building. The building received approval at that time to resurface the brownstone facade, which you can see, this is the approval for the front. And to reconstruct the rear facade, which was covered in asbestos-containing tar, with some additions to reclad the facade in metal panels and a terracotta abandoned rain screen, and to construct some visible, non-visible rooftop addition. Upon beginning construction, the brownstone facade, upon further investigation, the brownstone facade is currently heavily coated with stucco and some elastomeric, and the condition of the underlying brownstone is in a more advanced state of deterioration than previously anticipated. So this is an application to reconstruct the facade in terracotta panels. And the architect, Michael Chen, is here to discuss the proposal.
Okay, thank you, Carly.
Thank you very much. So as Carly mentioned, this is 34 East 68th Street.
Name for the record, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Michael Chen,
Okay.
architect. It was constructed as the middle building of Rev 3, completed in 1879 by Richard Buckley. You can see that it's of the three, 32, 34, and 36, it's the building that retains the most of its original This is a survey of the block on the south side of the street. As you can see, it's a block that, while originally a brownstone block, has undergone significant transformation in time. Some historic photos, including just a few doors down the tear down by Baron Hastings from 1919. The original 1930s tax photo is on the left. And as mentioned, this is the on the left, the sort of recent original condition of the building. It's actually very thick. We thought stucco resurfacing is actually very thick, rough concrete patches as well as relatively thick layer of elastomeric paint. And as Carly mentioned, the approved resurfacing in brown stucco on the right. We're working with this is again the rear. The rear facade is primarily custom extruded and glazed solid terracotta. We're working with Boston Valley Terracotta, which is a leader in the production of architectural and also historic terracotta. And we're now in construction. The building is fully scaffolded, and you can see the extent of the deterioration of the surface. We've also had the building sounded recently, a couple of weeks ago, and sorry, slides in a second. You can see that the red area indicates the zones that the sounding test revealed to be hollow. The degradation, as you can see in this video, extends at least half an inch and up to 2 inches. You can see we're here, we're pulling it away with our fingers. So, needless to say, the thin, we think that this is a result of the elastomeric coating. So there are a few zones on the left. You can see in white the zones that seem to be solid. The rest of it is kind of loose. So we don't think that a stucco resurfacing is really a viable option. It would require far too much removable material. All right. Well, anyway, we sort of contemplated a few possibilities. There we go. Obviously, you know that the original brown sandstone is no longer available. The replacement, the currently available solid brownstones on the market have a tendency to be kind of orangish and veiny makeup, and so we don't really regard them as being especially desirable. Which leaves us with precast concrete, which we didn't really feel was appropriate to the period. And it's also, we have some concerns about susceptibility to fading, which even the Landmarks Conservancy notes that fading tends to be an issue with precast concrete. So what we are proposing, given that we're already working with Boston Valley Terracotta, is that we reconstruct the primary facade in solid terracotta panels. This is just a very brief overview of the emergence of terracotta as a kind of brownstone row house construction material from the 1850s to the 1870s. Here we propose inexpensive ornament. And we have a really sort of compelling record, beginning with a piece from the Architectural Record in 1893 about Upjohn's Trinity Building at 111 Broadway, where terracotta was painted to simulate brownstone, up to James Renwick, and to the Brain House in George Post on 37th Street, which was recognized as the first all terracotta row house built in New York City. And these are some of the more kind of intriguing precedents where we find brownstone, where we find terracotta being used as a stand-in for brownstone for detail purposes, as one sees in the Potter Building on the left, or kind of interchangeably, as was revealed in the restoration of the Union Building, where brownstone and terracotta and limestone were found to have been used interchangeably with each other in the period, although the building kind of presents itself as a brownstone building. We like some of these examples. I mean, Paul Goldberger writes in his book about the Hotel Lucerne about the kind of beautiful plastic quality of its brownstone ornamentation. It could be molded of clay, but of course it's not brownstone, it's terracotta. And then the work of Francis Kimball, a number of row houses in Harlem, and then also the most recently restored Corbin Building, where the material was supplied by Boston Valley, which is this part we're working on. So this is a little bit about Boston Valley Terracotta. These are some of the buildings that they recently supplied restoration material for. And I would just call your attention to the detail from the Garrity Building on the lower left, which is really a kind of emblematic of the kind of material qualities of the terracotta material. It's a through color, through body color material. They use a pulverized ground sandstone in the matrix to simulate the texture and up to simulate the color of the brownstone. These are some very, very preliminary material samples from them that were color matched just using a paint sample. So they're obviously kind of technically capable of producing the necessary material, and they've assured us that the joints between the terracotta units will be consistent with the masonry dimension, which is under 3/16 centimeters. So these are the proposed details. You can see on the left the existing, and on the right the proposed, and the before elevation and then the after elevation. The bulkhead, as Carly mentioned, is not visible from the street. The previous approval also included a reconfiguration of the entry.
This would not be a rain screen
No,
installation.
this is a grouted salt, like the type with stainless tie backs. You can see here in the details. It's a solid molded material.
How thick is the,
It's 3 inches. It's 3-inch asphalt.
3 inches? So the whole wall is coming out in 3 inches?
The back of brick can remain, but the 3 inches of brownstone are present.
So we'll come back to the plane where it was.
That's right. That's right. The front elevation will be in line with its current. And then the existing, it was approved and was.
Okay. Questions? Anyone? Michael? No? You okay for now?
Isn't everyone else doing this when we see this?
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go right to testimony. I think now I know why everyone's approving it. Go ahead, Barbara. Barbara Zay.
Barbara Zay of the Historic Districts Council. HDC is intrigued by the proposed use of terracotta as a brownstone replacement on the facade of this row house. Typically, pigmented stucco or precast concrete are used for situations such as this, but the use of terracotta, a much more sturdy material with a proven track record of durability in the New York City environment, seems like a vast improvement. HDC is interested to follow the progress of the project to see if it could possibly serve as a precedent for others to follow. Since this row house's features are nicely intact and terracotta has to be detailed differently than brownstone, HDC asks that the applicant work with the staff on the detailing of the facade. Thank you.
Okay, Michael Hall, Friends.
Michael Hall, Friends of the Upper East Side. As we previously testified before the commission, the Preservation Committee at Friends was torn over the material choice for the initial proposal. As such, we were delighted to have the opportunity to review a new solution for 34 East 68th Street. We found the applicant's innovative use of terracotta to address the rapidly delaminating brownstone not only appropriate, but supremely interesting. Friends supports the application and commends the applicant for their initiative. We look forward to following the progress of the project as it continues.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I assume nothing more to add? Your part? Discussion, Michael Devonshire.
As a trim material, I find terracotta to be a delightful application on a building like this. One of the great things about brownstone is the fact that it contains, in some cases, clay materials. It also contains quartz, and it contains mica. These are materials that actually give a certain amount of depth and a really great surface appreciation of the material. This is not achievable in terracotta. And when I look at these samples, what I see are dead flat pieces of facade material. And so I would encourage the applicant to consider again, presuming that the investigation, the probes and investigation, I mean, there's always some delamination in sandstone because the stuff is face bedded. Assuming that they have probed every stone and that the possibility of recladding in individually stuccoed pieces, which is done frequently with this looks like Portland, Connecticut brownstone, I assume it is, correct? Yeah. Not the stucco schmear, but individually stuccoed pieces that are anchored to the original stone, presuming there is enough of that original stone left to do so. That's one possibility. The second possibility is cast stone. The third possibility is GFRC, which is used frequently as a repair material, replacement material for brownstone. And it is possible within the use of those materials to get, one, a variation, the same kind of variation that you would get from stone taken from a quarry, not an entire dead flat terracotta facade. The other is that there is the possibility of inclusion of both quartz and mica within those materials, within the gel coat of the GFRC, so that you get that surface texture of the stone that you don't get from the terracotta. So I cannot approve this as presented.
Fred?
Well, we just all learned something, and far be it for me to say I know more about this subject than my fellow commissioner on my left. He knows a lot more. But I'm a little surprised to hear that the continuity of the facade without the normal changes of texture that would come out of sandstone blocks from a quarry. But that's not what we do anymore. We use stucco with bits of dust or whatever it is in the mix. And I would think that would be a pretty consistent, a consistent pattern as well. And when it's scored, it's going to be almost the same. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to go with the flow here, but I'm just intrigued. I mean, this is a new take on something. I don't know if it's a model for something that we should let a guinea pig try it, and if it doesn't work, well, we'll know. But I'm still intrigued by it and would like to hear others' thoughts.
Yeah, I certainly defer to Michael on
opposed to the relative flatness of the terracotta product. On the other hand, I think that I would be open to the applicants trying to compensate for the materials difference with some textural modification of the surface or other modifications that would perhaps revel in its not being brownstone and take advantage perhaps more of the opportunities for molding that terracotta offers. And it could be a very shallow kind of texture that we see in terracotta designs that are period designs, or something that they would create on their own. I'd be open to it. I think that given the quality of the manufacturer that they're using, I have seen in terracotta depth developed in the glaze, you know, where there's a material or kind of a, I mean, I don't know technically how that would perform, and again, I would defer to Michael on that, but I've seen terracotta that is not flat. And so I'd be open to seeing more, but I think Michael's avenues are certainly good too.
I think I'm reacting the same way, not being a specialist by any stretch in the subject of terracotta or brownstone. So, but it's more that we've never seen an application like this, and there's been an enormous amount of research done, and I'm mostly intrigued by seeing how that would work in one case, and that maybe there's more investigation to be made with the terracotta manufacturer to see, I don't know if it has integrity, if you were to add something to the terracotta mix to give it a little bit of, you know, add mica particles. Can you do that to a terracotta, or does it no longer bind? Disintegrates. Okay, so, you know, so, all right, so, or maybe scoring or something that adds shade and shadow to it. I'm just so intrigued by this idea, and, you know, as opposed to when we do stucco treatments, where the stucco really doesn't look that great because of the way it's applied a lot of the time. So it's like, yeah, sometimes it's great and other times it's not. So this is a more controlled material. I'm curious.
It certainly was an, intriguing proposal, and I think the real issue here, I guess, is whether we're trying to, obviously, you could do it out of terracotta. It would have a different appearance from brownstone, and as Michael has explained, and it would be, in this context, perhaps, would have the problem that it would be supposedly trying to replicate brownstone and not able to do that. I wouldn't be against doing the terracotta, but I think that, Michael's arguments are fairly compelling about why it's not a good substitute for brownstone, and that the GFRC or the cast stone would be a better way to go if you're trying to really come back to the original appearance.
Okay.
Okay, I think that it's a very interesting presentation and possible choice. I think there's sometimes when maybe we could use it, maybe this is one of those, almost. I would think that you couldn't use it if you had like a row of 3 or 4. I would prefer to use the stucco tinted or mixed material, which I know can work and can be, in terms of appearance, as convincing as new brownstone. And I guess the second thing is that it could also depend on how badly the facade is damaged. If you had to replace the whole facade versus if you had to repair just certain areas. So, I think I could see it as a possible choice for something in the future. But I'm not sure it is this particular case. But I can almost go with it. I think
Okay.
it's something that we shouldn't discard, but I'm just not.
I think in this case, okay, Michael's analysis, and therefore it's got to, if it's done with the three possibilities, cast stone, stucco, or brownstone, does it get done by staff? Why is it here? The material? No, it's not the material. Yeah. Okay, so no matter what other material might be used, it's got to come back here. Okay, so you have to think about another material, because I'm not, in light of this discussion, able to approve the terracotta for this.
Sorry.
Yes.
But you were very strong and positive about the details around the windows. It was just
Yeah.
the surface.
The full surface, yeah,
Flat surface.
yes.
So,
Or maybe there's another way, right, to remedy that aspect of it.
we're not saying no to terracotta everywhere, we're just saying no to the flat.
Just on the asphalt.
Yeah.
But there's no action, right?
I suppose we could, and have staff work with them on a material for a flat surface and terracotta.
Can that be done? Is that? Yeah.
But you see that all the time with brownstones where the trim material has a different finish. Look at the Cooper building, you know, it's a perfect example.
Traditionally, it was a material that was, terracotta was used with brownstone. I mean, we did it at the Brooklyn Historical Society.
You let that go.
So can we do this? Can we? Okay, can we do that and leave it to the staff to, Fred, can you do that for us, please, with after I close this hearing? Or Michael can do it. Yeah, let's really nail it down. Okay, hearing closed. Michael Devonshire.
May I add something before we do this?
Yes.
Fred had mentioned the detrimental quality of the schmear, and I'm not advocating the schmear. What I'm saying is that, and we have done this before, complete restuccoing, but one block at a time, where you screed off the joints. You do one block at a time, because that's the best way to do it anyway, because these are organic, moving materials, and once you apply the schmear, that outer layer is going to crack. So what you do is, just like the original stones, you apply a new surface individually to each stone. It costs more money to do it that way, but that's the only way that you get a product with performance. And you can vary the appearance of each one of those stones as you wish within a quarry range. Anyway, sorry.
You're on.
Sorry to gas bag here. In the matter of 34 East 68th Street in the Upper East Side Historic District, an application to reconstruct the primary facade, I recommend approval with modifications, finding that the brownstone primary facade has been heavily coated, is exfoliating, unsound, and beyond reasonable repair. That due to existing stucco and elastomeric coatings on the building, the facade has lost portions of the profiled detailing at the window surrounds and sills. That the use of terracotta as a substitute material for trim will allow for the full restoration of the details of this portion of the facade, including profiled window and door surrounds and sills. That the terracotta is a traditional building material used contemporaneously during the construction date of this row and is found in row house construction in the city. That the terracotta will have a finished color and texture similar to the brownstones, in keeping with the traditional color and material palette of the late 19th century neo-Grec style buildings. Because the buildings in this row have all been significantly altered, the terracotta trim will not be seen next to original brownstone, and therefore changes in the color of and texture of the facade material will not be perceptible and will not disrupt the uniform condition in the row. However, the applicant will work with staff to find a historically appropriate substitute material for the ashlar facade cladding.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approved. Modified. Thank you.